Hey guys, today's episode is sponsored by Servosity. I created Servosity because I was an MSP that lost data. Then I had to go in front of my client and tell them I can't recover. If you've ever been there or worried that you would be there, then you may want to take a look at Servosity. We do two things that nobody else is crazy enough to do. We test your backups maniacally. We do that daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly for you. Then we manage the backups for you so you can focus on growing your MSP instead of babysitting backups. If you're interested in our unlimited storage or immutable storage or any of the things that I'm talking about, visit servosity.com.
When you want to win, when you want to make it to the pros, when you want to be that entrepreneur of the year, and you experience pain, you think that you are an anomaly because you don't know it's a part of the process.
Hey guys, Damian Stevens, host of MSP Mindset. Today I got the privilege to interview Shawn Harper, who played in the NFL and has gone on to do so many amazing things. Now, what does an NFL player have to do with running my MSP? A lot. We're going to talk about winning, and probably more importantly, we're going to talk about struggling, how you overcome those struggles, how you identify them, and how you use those with his book, The Winologist, to grow and scale your MSP. There's a lot to cover, I feel like, in your book. And I love your challenge and permission to, to get raw. So I've got some of the specifics, but I wanted to see if you would give everybody a sense for some of your struggles, especially your early on struggles growing up as a kid.
You know, the moment you said that, it just gave me a flashback, and I'm gonna share something that I've never shared before. I don't know why. I just saw this flash for some reason. My mom made me play football. I didn't like football, but she made me. She made me play, and I would have to walk like a mile to 2 miles every day to practice. Sometimes by myself. My neighbor played. Then I would walk home every day with my uniform on. Right? Sometimes it was night. It was dark, and they came out for the selection for the starters, the A team and the B team. And I remember me being, they went to the A team, they congratulated everyone. Then they came over to me, like 8 of us. They're like, guys, I'm sorry, you're the B team. And I cried. I just cried. I don't know why. I just broke down in just tears because it was another layer or another level of rejection. Having to have to repeat the first grade, being physically abused by my father. I think that's in the book. On several occasions, hitting that type of rejection is just another level. And we didn't have words like triggers back then, but that's probably what it was. And then going through that, through every aspect of life, hitting challenge after challenge and rejection after rejection. I think what has helped me is that I made a decision to fight through it, repeating the first grade, not being a great football player, told I shouldn't play football at all, being kicked out of, a couple schools for disciplinary issues, graduating last in my class, so like a 1.62, voted most likely to fail. And I just say that because honestly, that's the edited version, because there's another dark side that I don't even go into, just being hit by that over and over and over again. And I actually was talking yesterday to a group of kids, and I just mentioned something that I haven't mentioned much before, and that was that sometimes the shell or the exterior is tough, because it is daring you to push against it. And some of the greatest world changers are people who basically made a decision to persevere until something happens, push against the hard shell of rejection, push against the hard shell of abandonment, push against the hard shell of trauma and abuse. And I'm kind of blessed to have grown up in an era to where, they taught you to fight through that stuff. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the only reason why I'm here today. The only reason why I'm speaking to you now is that I was blessed to have a different perspective of adversity. Adversity can break you, but it also can make you a record breaker. I just made a decision to fight to it and fight through it.
How much was, so you didn't take what a lot of people would say is any traditional path, right? Because you didn't go to like one of the
Right.
big schools that everybody knows is a great place for football. And, one of the top football teams, right? So how much did that um, affect your trajectory? Did that enable you to not cap yourself?
Yeah. So I took the course of a junior college, and
Mm-hmm.
and and that is, for the lack of a better term, a black hole for a lot of athletes who go off to a junior college. They don't compete, they don't complete, they don't graduate, they never make it up out of that. But as far as a major university, I attended Indiana University, so that's back then it was a pretty reputable school.
Mm-hmm.
I think the football program has since declined, but when I played, we're pretty good. We're extremely, extremely competitive. But I started the same process all over again. See,
Mm-hmm.
and that I went there, and they originally, and I've never shared this, they actually originally wanted me to play a defensive line. And I was horrible at defensive. I was a horrible defensive tackle. Like I was horrible. And then they tried me at this spot and I was horrible. Finally, the coach brought me in and said, we're going to redshirt you. And that means that you're on the team, but you're not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I had to start the process all over again. I had to carry the water and, be on the scout team and, there's Shawn, he's a has-been. And I had to start that process all over again, all the way up to the top, to be eventually drafted.
How did some of the challenges and adversity you faced when you were young prepare you for that? Because a lot of people could have just said, I'm on the team. That's good. I'm gonna, I'll show up for whatever I got to show up for, and that's it. I'm
Right.
capped.
Good and bad.
Mm,
The good is I live for a challenge. I live, if I can put in my mind that this is a challenge, I probably will almost die until it's done. That's just the
mm,
way that my mind is. The bad part about it is that I have to have a challenge to move to another level. And I'm
mm-hmm.
trying to get into my mind, even at this age, that you know what, you don't need a challenge, just ascend to the next level.
Yeah.
But I am extremely competitive with that. So once I was placed in the situation that I was at the bottom, then it just activated that I will ascend to be the la creme de la creme.
So I want to go back a little bit. There's a lot of this that just, um, I'll just say this directly. I remember playing, football with friends, but that was it. Like I never played. I was never very good. I was never in danger of playing. And so there's a lot of things like, I think if you said like, what do you have in common with somebody that makes it to the NFL? My answer usually would be probably little to nothing. But then I'm reading your book and I realize there's just so many stories in there that unfortunately, some of the bad ones I could relate to. So you said you ask the tough questions, ask those. I wanted to ask you one that just struck me. There's a part of the book where you talk about your father not being able to show what you were looking for. And what just hit me like a train was he would throw you down the stairs repeatedly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at some point you said something to the effect of, in a sorrow voice of "I love you," and you were looking for something. What were you looking for? Because that just hit me, and I was like, "There's too much there I can relate to."
Well, it's funny. I was just watching a video of a pastor talk about his father and how, at the very end, his father was. I mean, this is like this is a pretty, from what I was able to gather, a very pretty much successful in the world sense, a pastor. And for him to say, it was, "You did a good job. I'm proud of you. I loved you." And I'm seeing this senior pastor on this video break down in tears.
Mm.
And then 3 days ago, I'm in church. Another, influential man talk about his father. This man is 65 years old. Before he died, he shared how his father, before he died, acknowledged, and I'm seeing my senior pastor cry. And it kind of affirmed everything that I always knew, but it's like every boy, every girl longs for daddy's stamp of approval. It is built in us. I don't care what they say. And oftentimes, it's crazy. Oftentimes when that is missing, we will subconsciously look for validation in so many other ways. The good thing about the story of my father, which something I think I'm gonna put in this next book, is how he left. But around 1998, 1999, he came back to the security company. It was another company at that time called Global One Security. He came back and he was the client liaison, one of the best I've ever seen. And when I transitioned in 2004 to American Services, he was there. And he worked with me every single day for 20 years,
Wow.
22 years. I think he may have missed 5 days. And I watched him, and basically he raised me all over again. It was amazing. And I didn't really appreciate it. I couldn't stand him for the first half, but as the years went on, I realized that this man was doing this for me. He wasn't doing it for the company. He was doing it for me. This was his way of correcting a wrong. He said, "I'm going to re-raise my son all over again." And I was able to retire him and bury him. He died, I think, 2017, 2018. And we had a last conversation with no words. We just looked, and we had a little game that we used to play, right? And he'd always teach me, like, when you shake a man's hand, it's supposed to be straight up like this, and don't let him turn your hand this way or that way. And then at the last moment, this last act is he turned his hand down and he put my hand on top. And in that conversation, and in that moment, it still gives me chills. He's like, "You're ready, and I affirm you."
Wow.
Within 4 hours, he was dead.
Thank you for sharing that. Sorry for
Yeah.
your loss, but that's an
It's
amazing
okay.
story.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
amazing story. Yeah, I get chills. This is Father's Day this past
Yeah.
week, and so just feel like we were meant to talk about this. From what I gather, you had a little different than I did, but you had a situation where your parents divorced.
Yeah.
Probably didn't have. Your mom said she wanted to be around men, so thank God for mom.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, she's raising 6 kids.
Yeah.
And single mom, bless her. But just talking about struggles.
Yeah.
From what you said, she attempted suicide.
Yeah, she did. And she tried to kill herself. And that,
Goodness.
Because, she married the man of her dreams, and And the one thing I've learned in relationships, and this is going to get me in trouble, but you need a little bit of trouble in your life, you know? Men have drive, women have dreams, right? And it's like her dream was to, be married and great guy and live this life that was a lie. And one day he just left, and it just broke her. But it was one of the greatest. It was the for me. It was amazing. I didn't realize it yet, but it was amazing because had my father stayed in the house, I don't know if I would ever play football. I don't know if he would have allowed me to play football. In fact, I'm pretty sure that he would not have allowed me to continue to play football. Sometimes we look at life and we say things that are hard and things have happened, and we have to complete the story. So my father left. He was abusive, physically abusive, and I didn't get what my other older brothers and sisters got. Like, they got it worse than me. But how do you find gratitude in that?
Right.
How do you complete the circle? And that's the problem with trauma a lot of times, is that we don't complete the circle. And so when I see, adversity and pain in my life, I got to find gratitude in that. Because if not, I'm stuck in that moment.
Yeah.
Now I got trauma. Now I got triggers. I got to complete the circle. Like, where's the gratitude in that?
Yeah. I love that.
So it's like, Lord, thank you, because this is now I can look at that situation differently. It's like Jesus on the cross. Like if you would have focused on the cross and nothing else, man, that was a pretty tragic death there, buddy. Like, all your friends left you. It was just like, all your closest allies left you and you died on the cross. That is a horrible story.
He left you and sold you out too, right?
Yes, it left you, sold you out, and just played you. Like, man, you died alone, bro.
Right.
Yeah, but you got to complete the story.
Right.
And that's what you focus on. We don't focus on the death. We focus on the resurrection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people who are out there, hold on. People who are out there who are dealing with the pain, look through that and find the one or two nuggets in there and shift your energy to gratitude from the pain. That's what I'm working on right now. That's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah. If you don't get that, what I've learned about my own life is there's that trauma, those scars. And what I realized is life is uphill. It's not easy. And what I've learned though is I'm just carrying a bunch of rocks in my backpack. And if I don't examine them, I'll never take them out. And it just, all that does is slow me down, make life really hard, because I'm hiking around with a bunch of heavy rocks holding me back.
Even worse. And then now it's even worse because you got people like, oh, look at your rocks. You're like, yeah, I know.
Yes.
Look at my rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get to that. One other thing that struck me, because I remember when this changed in my mindset, where you went from being a victim to a victor.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, because I had to redefine who I am. That's very, you will never maintain what you want. You will only maintain and have what you are. Okay. So somewhere deep within your heart, and I'm reading this book, I'm doing a lot of research on the heart and what it can do for your life. Somewhere deep in my heart, there was a victim. And I had to make a switch, and I'm still making that switch. Just there's like levels to this game, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I made the switch that no, I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. So now I'm changing my energy. So now that the energy is being changed, it's exuding a different thing. So it refracts and now it attracts at the same time. And so I had to switch that power plant of me being a victim to me being a victor. Because if I don't make the switch, I will always be victimized. I will set myself up to be victimized,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But now I have to change that. No, I'm a victor. Now that comes from me and exudes from me. Now I'm pulling in victories. I'm attracted to other winners. I'm attracted to victories in my life, and I'm manifesting that. Okay, so that's what I'm in the ever process of converting and changing that from victim to victor. And so I get to a certain level, and then I'll stay stuck there for like 6 months. And now I go to another level. So now I have to change that a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, it's a little bit deeper of a victor. You got to convert that. And then I change it. Now I go to another level, and then I go to another level, and I never stop. I never stop.
I grew up in a family and culture and friends and school and everything where it was about being a victim. And, you could
Yeah,
display those rocks and say, look at this. And they could feel bad for you. And, I got good at showing you all the reasons that I
right,
couldn't
right,
and I shouldn't, and I wouldn't,
right.
I'm too poor.
Yeah,
I'm too dumb. My GPA is too low. I'm not connected. I don't know anybody. I don't have any belief. I don't have any
yeah.
belief in God. I don't have any belief in myself.
One of the things that my mom did was one of the many things that she did that was amazing. Is that she would only allow social groups to help that did not stigmatize us as victims.
Mm.
Right. One of the downfalls of a lot of social programs with the non-for-profit world is that it traps you in victimization mode. It keeps you right there. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't encourage you to push past it.
Yep.
It just says, hey, we have services for you, but they're victimizing you at the same time. They're not saying, get up off your butt. Let's go. Let's do this thing, man. Come on, let's get to the next level. Let's fight. Yes, I understand you have stuff in your life and you're traumatized and you got pain. Let's go. Turn the pain into purpose and the purpose into profit. Let's go.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
don't do that because
Yeah.
there's money in that. There's money in victimization. So you got to
Yeah.
push past the pain. You got to fight past the pain and you got to keep moving. That's why the mother bird doesn't help the little chicklets open the shell. They just watch you all day. They just sit there and watch you just push that. Because if mom jumps in, man, God, this is so deep. If mom jumps in, if dad jumps in and tries to open up that shell, when that shell's open, that bird won't walk. That bird won't fly. It's in the pain and it's in the struggle that produces monsters.
Mm. I think somebody listening needed to hear that. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
that struggle, right, that
yeah,
sets you up.
yeah. When my son Caleb was 5 years old, right? I got so much trouble for this, but I don't care. I really don't care. He was playing soccer. No, he was playing baseball. And at the end of the game, they lost. But yet they want to have this victory tunnel. Yay! Let's run to the tunnel. And I'm like, yeah. I snatched that boy up. I snatched him up. The parents was like, oh my God. I snatched it. I said, boy, you lost.
Yep.
What did you do to lose?
Mm-hmm.
And what can you do to win next time?
Yeah.
And I took him and we went outside and we practiced. He hated it. I made him practice every day with me. We practiced every day before baseball practice. He hated me for that. He just, Dad, no, I want to be a kid. I said, nope. You want to play baseball? You're going to be the best you can be. We
Yeah.
practiced every day. I didn't want to practice, made him practice. End of the year, he was MVP of the baseball team, and he was MVP of the All-Star game.
Wow.
I said, you will not be complacent. I said, you will win.
And I want to get into a lot of this, your book. We're going to get into winning. Your book is The Winologist, but I wanted to mention, I wanted to cover another thing, which you talk about poverty. So how do you go from poverty in all senses, not just economic or mindset, to the mindset you have now? I'm winning.
Well, you have to redefine, as I mentioned earlier, and this was just brought out in the early to mid 90s. Your heart. Yeah. Most people think that they think from their brain, but they think from their heart. Your heart has, and they discovered in the mid 90s, over 40,000 neurons. And these neurons have the ability to think on their own. These neurons have the ability to store memory. In fact, they've had countless case studies where they've given a heart transplant to maybe someone who was a racist, and that person didn't know that he was getting the heart of a black man. And now this guy loves black people instantly, like I love black people. Or now I'm a musical genius when a person was horrible, because the heart has memory. They've used testimonies to where this person was being murdered, and the person had a heart transplant, and the person gave a vivid description of what happened.
That's
And what the person
crazy.
looked like. And yeah, because the heart can store. The heart can store emotions, and this is why people can die of a broken heart. I mean, it is absolutely real. Okay, so now I was able to dig deep and to change my heart. And the Bible talks about the heart over and over and over again, but no one really pays attention to it, right? So I was able to change my heart, and I'm working on changing my heart, getting the pain out, getting the fear out, getting the anger out, getting the trauma out, and then to move from there. So my actual focus is not in my actions as much anymore. My focus is my heart, changing my heart and seeing myself not as, a victor, but as a winner. And, it's not cliche-ish. This is who I am. I am a winner. So yesterday I was reading to some kids, right? And I didn't think I was going to like it, right? I loved it, right? I just like, oh my God, I just felt them pull so much out of me. And there were two kids in the back. One wants to be a construction worker, the other wants to play professional soccer. And out of all the kids, when I looked at those kids in the eye, I saw it. I saw that winner. It was placed in them at a young age. And then I saw some kids who didn't have it. And I'm like, my God. So now my job is to put it in me and put it in people around me. This said, this is who you are. All actions stem from thoughts. All thoughts are from your belief system. And it goes one step further. Your belief system is your self-concept. Who are you? Who are you? And in my case, whose am I?
I love that. That is so good, Shawn. I firmly believe we were meant to talk today in so many ways, but you just brought up the heart and
Yeah.
how it has memory and there's all these neurons. And I want to make this about you, but I was just reading this book. And
are you serious?
Just reading this, where
I'm writing it down right now.
Just today, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about that part where those neurons are, and the book is fighting for heart. And so I have the blessing of getting to interview the individual tomorrow of all the timing. Man,
so, I want to speak to him. If you give him my contact, I'm like, I can tour with you, bro, and we can speak about this. Because you know what? It needs to be talked about. Your heart, the actual electromagnetic frequency or vibration of your heart, okay, is 5,000 times stronger than the vibration of your brain. Your heart emits a signal. This is where the law of attraction comes from, right? Your heart emits a frequency and a signal that you will attract the same situation, the same circumstances, the same relationships, the same everything over and over again. Why? Because it's actually emitting a frequency from your heart. And you will not change your life until you change that frequency.
Mm.
comes. And that's the core of your life. You got to change your heart.
Tell me about what does it mean? Your book is The Winologist, right? From the locker room to the boardroom. What do I need to be doing to apply what you're teaching there?
Not what you're doing, is what you're seeing.
Okay. What does that
What
mean?
do you need to be seeing? You need to be seeing yourself who you are or whose you are. You need to be seeing yourself as that dominator, as the world changer. You need to be seeing yourself as the winner. Now, once you see yourself as a winner, you're introduced to your greatest competitor. The greatest competitor is you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fight against you. You got to fight against, I am fighting against myself to be the best version of myself.
Mm.
And you have to realize a sobering thought that every time you step on this game field of life that you can lose.
Yeah.
Every competitor realizes, even LeBron James, if he was playing, a college team, he knows I can lose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lose.
All right.
I'm stepping on this playing field and I'm playing to win. So I'm going to be the best version of myself. And what happens is that you develop what I call the inside game. And most champions have the inside game. The inside game is a game that they play all by themselves. Am I the best that I can be? That's why when you see really high level competitors and they play their kids or they play at a charity game, they're going to smoke you.
Yeah.
They're going to smoke you. Why? Because it's the inside game. And that's where champions are made, is what is your inside game?
Mm-hmm.
I was playing with the Colts and we had won. I mean, we were excited, but this one receiver, his arms were folded and he was upset. And I'm like, man, why? He said, man, I dropped passes and this and this and that. In the back of my mind, I'm like, this dude is a narcissist. He is selfish. You know what I'm saying? But no, years later, I realized that was his inside game. His inside game said, you can be better. And so when everyone else left, I remember he stayed back and he started lifting again. He started lifting, he started training as if I'm like, wow. Like, he didn't let the outside victory determine his inside victory. At the same time, I mean, I'm not in his head, but I don't think that he would allow outside failures to determine his inside failures as well. If you do what you can do, if you can do the best that you can do and you laid it out there, let the chips fall where they may.
Right. Leave it all on the field.
Leave it all on the field. Oh, yeah.
I just can relate to the struggles, the mental, everything you're talking about. Like, I'm my biggest enemy.
Yeah.
And every time, at least it's like when I was a victim and then decided to not be a victim. Now I see things differently, and it's not 100%. I'm still working on myself. But it's when I started to frame things that way, I started to ask better questions. And that's what, usually when I'm asking for advice, I'm asking for help. It's like, I know I'm holding myself, my business, my family, my whatever it is back. So what do I need to do to change? How do I become the best version of myself?
Yeah. Yeah. Who was that? Oh man, it was a famous pastor who's now John Maxwell used to be a pastor. He used to be a pastor in Lancaster, Ohio. He's now world famous. Mm-hmm. And he had this book about the laws of, I forgot the so many laws, but one of his principles was called the law of the lid, which is what I'm being convicted with right now. And the law of the lid is that your organization can't grow past you. Mm. And so you have to always expand your lid to create the capacity for growth. Mm. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. And I see that all the time. Right. I'm the limiting factor.
Yeah.
If you're leading your team, your company. How did you, speaking of limiting factors, how did you go from NFL, and I don't know the statistic offhand, but it seems like the statistic is almost everybody who plays in the NFL is broke, bankrupt, shortly after not playing, shortly after leaving. How'd you end up playing in the NFL Europe, and now, you're the CEO of American Services and Protection. You're the author of Winology. You're a motivational speaker and author, founder of Bridge Builders International.
I break rules, but I never break laws, right? In this world, there are laws. And if you break the laws will break you. Like if you could look and peer inside of my world, you'd be like, how in the hell? How is he doing this? Because most people, when people get behind the curtain, they're like, I don't understand. Right?
Right.
They don't understand how, right? And one of my secrets is that I live, I give, and I forgive. Mm-hmm. So I always try to keep my heart clean, and giving credit and grace to God, and He is able to use me to confound a lot of people who are doing things the world right way, and for some reason I'm ahead of them. They're like trying to figure it out, like they're just like, what the heck is going on? Like how are you even in business? Like how are you even speaking? I'm like, it's because I submit my life to God, and I know the laws, and I live and I don't break laws. My mom taught me that when I was a kid, and she cried out to God. She's like, God, how are we going to make it? I'm raising 6 kids by myself, scrubbing floors in Bexley. God said, if you give to the poor, I will always take care of you. And bro, they hated us on the South. They called welfare on us twice. They're like, how is it that this man gives you a brand new car? And how is it that you're still, like, you have a man living in the house somewhere? Like, how is it that we had the biggest house in our neighborhood. It was a single mom scrubbing floors in Bexley, down the street from White Castles and the Drexel Theater. We dropped her off every day. But we had the best Christmas. We had the best Thanksgiving. We had the best I don't know how it happened, but I do know how it happened is that the spiritual law says if you give, it shall be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, runneth over. And I live my life sowing and giving, not only in money, but in myself to people. And God has blessed me in return, because it's not me. It's not me. I guarantee. Trust me. Trust me. It's not me.
So if everybody's sitting there running a business, thinking about this, how do I, because I think I'll speak about myself. It's easy to sit there and go, well, I have this role as a husband and as a father and as a business owner. And, how do I give more? How do I get out of because what I found is it's fear. I'm getting out of my comfort zone and actually go where I'm called and give.
So there's levels to that.
Right.
He will always call you deeper into it. So what I mean by that is, if you're at the beach and the water is 4 feet deep, it's great. But God is like, well, I need you to come a little deeper now. Mm-hmm. I need you to give a little more of yourself. I need you to become less selfish, and then He'll pull you deeper. And then, you're doing well at the 8 feet level, you're treading water, and it's like, well, I need to come a little bit deeper. There's a little heavier waves, and there's a couple rip currents, but I'm calling you deeper, and I'm calling you deeper. And it's like, you give more, you see yourself less. You think of yourself as less. You're worried about yourself less. Then I'm calling you a little deeper. And the next thing you know, you're in the middle of the daggone ocean if you choose. If you choose to go into the deep. The more you go into the deep, the less of yourself you worry about and the more of a giver you become.
And if you're like me, I know that nothing's surprising God. It's God's plan. And
Yeah.
then, but if you're like me, I'm like, man, in the middle of
Oh,
this storm, like God,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not sure you should trust me this much. Like this might be too tough for me.
yeah, yeah. It is tough. It's I'm dealing with that in a weird way right now. It just, you know, this is what I make as far as my speaking engagements and gigs and this and this and that and that. And to let go of that and then, doing these little small things and here and here. I mean, there's a transition there. It's tough. It's tough because, this is what you're used to. But at the same time, I realize that, he's pulling you deeper. So I'm treading water at the 7, 8 feet, knowing the 20, 30 feet's coming, But I got to learn how to tread water in the 8 feet before I get to the 20 feet. But I choose to go into the 20 feet.
So tell me a little bit about your journey building American Services, growing American Services and Protection.
Yeah.
Struggles, challenges there.
Hey, let me tell you. So it started out as my brother's company. He ran into some challenges and he turned it over to me and my brother-in-law, like 98, 99. I was still playing football. 2004, my brother-in-law says, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm just leaving, and I think you should just close it down.
Wow.
And I had 3 separate audits that I'm dealing with the company. 3 different agencies were like, we're coming for the kill shot right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he leaves. And from 2003 to 2004, I'm like, every day, I'm like, this could be the last day of the security company. Every day.
3 audits.
I'm not going to go into detail.
Yeah, no,
3
it's
separate
crazy.
audits.
One audit sounds painful.
No. And I think it was July 2004. My license came because I said, I'm going to change the name of the company, change the brand, and then I'm moving forward. July 2004, I applied for a license for American Services. The license came. 2 days later, a letter said, close the other security company now.
Wow.
48 hours notice. I was able to move everything over, and we had a handful of contracts. I worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. My father worked 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and we started from that, and we built it all the way up.
And so, and what does that look like today?
It's doing pretty good. We're probably at around 100 officers.
Wow.
And we're situated in the state of Ohio. We should be at around 500 officers. So I'm making some changes now. I'm making some really drastic rebranding, reskinning, because there's a lot of crime out there happening, and my phone's not ringing. So I'm like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I need to.
I love that growth mindset. We should be at 500. The point I want to go back to, though, is if it weren't for you and your father.
Yeah.
2 people working their butts off, right?
Yeah.
There's 100 people that wouldn't be in the spot that they are now, that you've changed their lives in some way.
I remember I would have to get up every night for 7 days a week. And this is, I don't suggest this. To get up every night to drive downtown Columbus and check on one site for 15 minutes every night at 3 o'clock in the morning for like 4 years straight, 7 days a week. One day I was all the way in Illinois. I had to drive all the way back here to check on that site for 15 minutes just to make sure. Yeah, it was really interesting. It was a very, very, very interesting time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the stuff people skip over, right? It's easy to talk about the accolades. People skip
That
that part.
that's what I hate about our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hate's a strong word, but I hate it. I
Mm-hmm.
hate it because our culture today, they don't show the struggle.
Mm.
They don't show the pain. So all social media is geared with people's smiley faces.
Mm-hmm.
People are happy. People are living their best life. And I don't think a lot of people are living their best life.
No.
Because I get phone calls and I'm like, these people are like, help me, man. You know, I'm at my wit's end. Like I'm about to do something stupid. I'm like, I just look at your Facebook page and you was living your best life like 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I am suicidal right now.
Right.
I'm like, you kidding me? I mean, I've had this happen like 5 times within the last month.
Wow.
I'm like, and so nobody shares the pain. Nobody shares the depression. No one shares the rejection, the cries at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, just sitting up crying. No one shares that. So now when you see everybody in the business world or at church or at the fair and everyone is smiling, you're like, what the heck is wrong with me?
Mm-hmm. Somebody said recently, even just having people over to your house for a party, they said, if you think about it, you come over to a house that's cleaner than we ever have it and eat food better than we ever eat so that we can put on a show for, I can understand good hospitality, but we're put, to a certain degree, it's like we've got to put, it's just like your Sunday best or your best version. It's just like, we're all struggling.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't want to share.
On plates that you never eat off of. Like when I was growing up, we had the silverware. We had china. I mean, what was that, right? We had china. And my mom had this case, right? And it was real. I don't know how she got this, right? She got it was either silver or silver painted, but it was. And God help you and your descendants. If you touch something or broke a piece of china, I have one plate left out of that entire collection, and I have the last plate, and I have it at my house right now. Just symbolic, but yeah, we perform so much, and it gives that false illusion of what's wrong with me until you read on social media, and it always starts out like, it's with great sadness and heavy heart that I'm here to inform you. I'm like, what the heck? I didn't see that. This person did what?
Yeah.
Then on the news, we never saw that coming.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all that way. Right.
So now when you want to win, when you want to make it to the pros, when you want to be that entrepreneur of the year, and you experience pain, you think that you are an anomaly because you don't know it's a part of the process. I was just having a discussion with an individual about husbands and men. And I said, one of the reasons why you're having problems with men is that you never had a father. I said, you never had a father to show you the pain of marriage. I said, so all you have is an idea of what you think a man is. You don't have because whenever this person would see a man fall, it was so devastating to her. I'm like, we fall every day. You just don't know about it.
Yeah. When my kids were younger, of course they thought I created when they're really young, they think you created the world, right?
Oh yeah.
And now, I try to be grateful that I get to model being human. I get to model messing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're in something with my boys that are older ones called Trail Life. You think of it like Boy Scouts, but Christian focused. And I didn't grow up with a dad around. I didn't grow up with any camping. I didn't none of this stuff. So like I'm
Right.
way outside my comfort zone. They're like, what is this kind of not?
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So it's been good to see like, you can admit you don't know it all.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
struggle. And the thing is like, when you're a good bit older, you usually smoke them in every competition.
Right.
But then you go into something new. And that's not always the case. Dad's going to lose sometimes. Dad's going to not learn that skill as well as you did. So it's been interesting to model that, for my kids and just be a real person.
Yeah. I remember first got married, we picked a house. It was a corner lot. And I knew how to cut the grass. We had shrubs, we had plants. I'm telling you, this plant's called a perennial, right? So it comes back every year. I learned that, right? We had shrubs, we had a deck, we had so much. It was a big lot, man. It was the corner lot, so the pressure's on. You gotta keep your lawn, the corner lot.
That's
everywhere.
right.
It's an unwritten rule. I didn't know about this unwritten rule back then, right? And I was just like, it's like, the neighbors aren't speaking to me no more, right? And so across the street was this man, and I would watch him in the morning. And he's like 6:30 in the morning, and he's cutting grass, and he's edging, and he got this cigar in his mouth, and he's doing all the edging, and he's trimming, and I just watched him, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go buy what he buys. So he had a steel, right? That's how I learned about steel, right? Just steel, right? This orange garden stuff, right? And I would look at it and I would write it down. I'd go to Home Depot, and everything he did, I did. Everything he did, I did. Every Saturday morning, I'm cutting and finally got all these weeds, and then this man said, well, in the spring, you got to cut it low. You got to cut it often, because if not, you're going to have weeds, right? So I got there and I got the Roundup on some stuff, and I messed up. I didn't know what non-selective herbicide, whatever it was. It killed everything, right? I didn't know. I just killed it. But listen to this. The testimony in that is that I didn't give up. And that's what my son saw. Because the daddy didn't give up.
Yeah.
And that to me was most important. Yeah, I failed a lot. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I can relate to. Get out there, do things. It's great. Like, look, who doesn't like winning? I want to go win. I want to go do something I'm good at and win. But for my kids, it's, I think, probably more valuable to go out and do things and watch them watch me fail time and time again and keep getting back up.
That's it.
So
That's it.
I want to make sure to talk about this. Tell me about Bridge Builders International.
Well, Bridge Builders International is it used to be my speaking business, and it still is to an extent, but I'm in a sort of a flux of an evolution in this, right? Because I'm speaking, which I love to speak. I love to do corporate speaking. And this is a shameless plug. Anybody out there listening, I speak, right? But I'm moving away and into more of ministry, more of different types of speaking. And it's really hard. It's getting easier for me to let go of that because I've been doing it for since 1995. So, you got 30 years of something that you put me on the stage. I'm like Michael Jackson. I'm not that good like Michael Jackson, but what I'm saying is that I know I can perform. I can get on the stage and I know how to move and I can navigate. But moving you into the deeper water, now it's, it's different. It's really different, but I'm sensing another level of income. And the other level of income is the reward. Like right now, my heart is still back at speaking to those 9 or 10 little 6 and 7-year-old kids. I'm like, man, I remember half their names, and all the, I'm like, there's something there.
Yeah.
Might not have a paycheck, might get a thank you and a thermos, but so I'm making that transition, and I'm moving into a different area of just pouring out myself, and allowing God to pour it in people through me, and getting out the way and letting Him do that. Yeah.
Getting out of the way. I mean, I can relate to that one so much.
Sometimes you don't even know you're in the way.
Yeah.
That's the scary part. You don't even know you're in the way.
Yeah.
And then one day you're like, ooh, God,
Yeah.
I was in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I got to get out the way. Yeah.
If you're like me, later, it's really clear. But right
It is
then,
later.
no
It's always
idea.
later. Yeah, no idea. You're like, you're doing the best work, and like you're in the way.
Yeah.
And the score is different. So what I mean by that is that the score isn't counted the same. So, I'm speaking to, 6 or 7, 8 kids. To me, or I'm like, yeah, that was great. But the God is like, no, you were speaking to the future president of the United States. No, you're speaking to the future CEO or the future world changer. You're speaking to a soul versus me speaking in front of 15, 20,000 people. It's not calculated the same. So I'm just like, and learning how to get my reward and satisfaction in obedience versus prizes and prestige. It's just well done, and that's all the rewards you need. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough transition. Yeah, and it's a constant and consistent transition that you never really arrive.
Yeah. It's an entirely different scoreboard.
I mean, trust me, like John the Baptist was in the desert eating locusts and honey. I don't think he was pretty successful in the world standard, right?
Right.
But Jesus said that there was no greater prophet than John. It was just like, hold on now. I mean, he got beheaded in prison, eating locusts and wild honey, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, it's not measured.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are wealthy in money, and nobody will talk about them in 2,000 years. Nobody will be reading about them.
I know.
And
I know.
So it's a different impact there, right?
Yeah.
Well, Shawn, tell folks that are listening how, if they feel like they want more, they want to connect, want to learn more about you. Definitely, guys, you're listening, pick up a copy of The Winologist by full name Aaron Shawn Harper, and make sure you get a copy of his book. It's an amazing read, and just happens to be a quick one, but I would say it's a really, really good read. I want to do it. I want to read it again.
Cool.
Tell folks how to get connected with you besides the book.
Really simple. It's real simple. You just go to ShawnHarper.org, or I'm sorry, ShawnHarperWins.com. That's my website. Or you can go to any search engine, type in Shawn with a W, SHAWN. You can go there. You can get in contact with me there. My Instagram is Shawn Harper Speaker, SHAWNHARPER Speaker, Shawn Harper Speaker. You can go there. So there's plenty of ways. There's phone numbers on there. I'm not really hard to find.
I love that. I love that gift. So guys, if you're listening and you got anything out of this, shoot a note over. I suspect Shawn is just like me. Any little bit of a nugget that you hear, I'm sure he'd love to hear, and make sure to take advantage of whether it's a book or connect with him or follow or whatever the right step is for you.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here today, Shawn. This was just an amazing gift.
Thank you. And I speak covering and blessings over your audience, and that someone will take this and run and win with it. Thank you, Lord.
I love that. Thank you, Shawn.